Hey guys, Deathletter Magic here, back with more spoilers from Modern Horizons 1, which I'm sure I'm going to keep calling Mythic Horizons or Magic Horizons, because everything else is called that. I don't think this is quite all of today's spoilers, but whatever, I'll pick up the rest tomorrow, and I've got stuff to do later today. Might actually be live streaming, so watch for that. But anyway, on the original announcement, they said a bunch of statements that I think were purposely misleading. They wanted people to get excited about this, and now you should not be excited at all. If you took everything they said at face value, it would highly suggest that it was 50% new cards, 50% reprints, some of which, a tiny amount of which, would be cards that are reprinted but weren't in Modern, so they were earlier than 8th edition. As it turns out, they were being purposely misleading, in my opinion. So apparently they said something during the live stream that obviously I didn't watch, alluding to the fact that besides the first day's spoilers, no other cards in the entire set are going to be Modern legal reprints, which eliminates fetch lands, and fetch lands were needed to prop this up. They were absolutely needed. So they're risking a bunch of new cards they just invented, although new is a little bit generous. Sometimes it just adds cycling or add flashback or add an ability to a card that already existed. So it's really just a card upgrade, but some of these are obviously going to be brand new, and they're thinking, oh, they're so confident that these will be played in Modern that this set will actually be worth buying on day one. I got news for you. Modern and the Modern meta and Modern deck builders, they move at the speed of a freaking glacier. These cards won't see Modern play unless they're the most obvious thing in the world, where they're just a straight up better card. And I don't think there will be enough of them. And then they're thinking, oh, well, we'll take this card that's popular in Vintage and people will just adopt it day one into Modern. Not necessarily. I wouldn't count on it. And with how rapidly the Modern meta is changing in the last 2 years, I would expect the future value of this set to be pretty good. But day one, the demand for these cards is going to be so low because there's just no existing Modern staples in it. No fetch lands, nothing to prop up the set whatsoever. That is an unbelievably stupid decision. I mean, what's the first word of this product? Modern. Put a Modern card in it, maybe. This should be called We're Just Guessing Masters. I'm not saying absolutely dead on arrival garbage product, but it is way more at risk of being that. Way higher risk. I mean, unbelievably higher than when we all thought that it would actually contain cards that people need. So there is no floor, there's nothing propping this up whatsoever except for their hopes and dreams for people to quickly adopt. I mean, what would prop this up? 1/5 of the set? A third? People don't quickly adopt anything in Modern. That's not how Modern works. And I guess you got Commander people hopping on a couple of these, but oh, this is an at-risk product now. I would not recommend anybody pick this up until they see what it looks like. So with that safety warning out of the way, we've got Factor Fiction being reprinted for, at least the 10th time, but for the first time in Modern, I guess. This is a classic ability usually attached to Sphinxes, but I've seen it all over. Reveal the top cards of your library for 4 mana, by the way. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put 1 pile into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So it's a creative, interesting way to draw some cards. The less your opponent knows about how your deck works, the better. I've seen people make drastic mistakes with this. I used to play Sphinx Vuthun when it was legal. This card's extra fun when you pull 2 counterspells, 2 Leviathans, 2 hexproof, whatever, 2 more copies of Factor Fiction. But 4, it's a little slow for Modern, honestly. I mean, I'm not saying people wouldn't play it, but it's up there. Anything above 3, it better be really damn good, and this just isn't. Next up, we've got the English version of Flusterstorm. Oh boy. I was really hoping they were going to stick with Stormy Storm. I like that. So this is instant or sorcery only, and then it has Storm. It fits into 1 deck. I'd say it's a stupid waste of a rare slot, but the card's $38, so I guess not. I mean, looking at this, can we just call this what it is? Eternal Masters 2? So next up, we've got an interesting brand new card called Force of Vigor. Now, I thought that Force of Will was part of a 5-card cycle. That does not appear to be the case, according to the Gatherer, unless they named it something really weird. But apparently this is just some green ripoff of it. So if it's not your turn, by the way, this is 4 mana, double green, ouch. If it's not your turn, you may exile a green card from your hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost. So it effectively costs 0. Destroy up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. Finally, 2 cards for 2 cards instead of 2 for 1. I think this will be a huge sideboard card for sure. This just obliterates certain deck archetypes. Hopefully this is the cure for Affinity. I hate Affinity. That stupid artifact affinity deck has been the bane of Modern's existence for years. I hate it. And I know nobody plays it anymore. I still hate it. But this shuts it down real quick. So next up we got Icefinca Kodal or I don't know, Flying Snake. It's 2-cost green blue 1/1 flying card with flash, and when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. That's nice. And then it has death touch as long as you control at least 3 other snow permanents. Oh, good. You know, because those are so popular. Well, I mean, if I were to compare this to the 2-cost Flash Death Touch Pirate in Standard right now, which is one of the craziest, most efficient surprise kill cards in combat right now. Yeah, if you could ensure it had Death Touch, you could do some damage to any kind of flying creature for sure. But that's about it. So it's like, well, why don't you just spend 2 like removing it? Like, why not just run Plummet? They don't have to dick around with a bunch of snow-covered lands, which, you know, in Modern, you got to play like 2 color lands, like fetchable 2 color lands. You don't have room to get out 3 snow-covered lands in a game. I mean, even if 50% of your lands were snow-covered, you still have to draw 6 of them to have 3 of them be snow-covered on average. And yeah, it said snow-colored permanents, but I'm not sure what they're going to try to stuff into this or if that'll take off in Modern. My guess is no. And this card isn't good enough to merit it, so this is definitely a waste of a rare slot. Next up, we've got a Mythic. Oh boy, it's Morofon the Boundless. It looks like an Eldrazi, but it doesn't have the subtype. It's just simply a legendary shapeshifter. So out of all the shapes you could have chosen, you chose Giant Purple Puppy. Okay then. So this is a 7-cost colorless. Oh, I hope this isn't a Tron card. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Spells of the chosen type, or I should say probably creature spells of the chosen type, you cast, cost 1 of each color less to cast. This effect reduces only the amount of colored mana you pay. So you can't apply the overflow to the generic, which is like the opposite of how that usually works. Or I should say most cost reductions are generic, and then they're generic only and don't apply to the colored mana. And then other creatures you control the chosen type get +1/+1, which is good because otherwise by itself this wouldn't be worthwhile. I still think 7's really damn high for like a tribal deck. And I mean, okay, it does actually have Changeling. I kind of breezed past that because it was obvious, but at the top it is Changeling, so this card is every creature type. So if you have something that like pays specifically for elves or makes elves cost less, you could get this out earlier, I guess. But it's going to reduce, on average, every card that's a creature type that's on color with your deck by 1, which, I mean, it's 1. Like a Merfolk deck, you might get 2 out of it. Some weird, like, hybrid mana creature. I don't know if this would apply to it. I assume it would. You could maybe get a 2 benefit out of this. You could bring out Progenitus for 5 instead of 10. I'm struggling to see any kind of use case for this. I think this is like a 50-cent Mythic. 7 is too damn high. I mean, this is going to be like the commander card, depending upon what the rules are with color identity. I never really looked into it. I mean, it's in the text, but it's not an ability. I don't know. Who cares? But yeah, this is more evidence that this might be a disastrously poorly received financially set. Next up, we have Vous Prismatic. Actually, it's probably Vue, not Vous, because Vous is you. Who knows? They tack on vowels to the end of everything in French, and I'm convinced none of it means a damn thing. You heard it here first, everybody. The French language is just one giant scam to sell pen ink. So this allegedly translates to Prismatic Vista. It's a land, it's rare, it has tap, pay 1 life, sacrifice Prismatic Vista, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So it's like a fetch land that can only fetch basic lands. Now, I thought this was an existing older card. Apparently, it's not. It's got to resemble something pretty closely, because I could have sworn somebody said that there's like fetch lands that can go get just basics. I don't know. They might have been 3-color limited. I don't know. Well, I suspect that this might be heavily played, but obviously the fact that it can't fetch a dual color land, you know, one of the shock lands or whatever they're called. I mean, if you're playing 2-color, you could probably get away with it. But that land is only going to generate 1 of your 2 colors for the entire rest of the game. Like, that could be bad. So, I don't know. Hard to say what this will actually cost. Next up, another Mythic, which, oh, these better carry the set, and the last one looked like crap. We've got Seasoned Pyromancer. So this is a 3-cost 2/2 double red. When Seasoned Pyromancer enters the battlefield, discard 2 cards, then draw 2 cards. For each non-land card discarded this way, create a 1/1 red elemental creature token. Then later, when this thing gets killed, because of course it will, you can pay 5 while it's in the graveyard and exile it from your graveyard, and then create 2 more red elemental creature tokens without having to discard anything. So I mean, total you get about 5 creatures. I don't think the typical red deck would get up to 5 mana, but it depends. I think a 2/2 for 3 that late in the game, and all you get out of it is a couple 1/1s maybe, and then you might accidentally ditch something you actually need that can actually do damage, like Lightning Bolt, and swap it for, oops, a mountain. This is just a garbage card, and then red burn is so fast you probably aren't going to get to 5. Even if you do, is 2 more 1/1s worth 5 mana? It shouldn't be. Every mana you spend should do 1 damage in burn. This isn't even close, so this is another just dead on arrival, god-awful, useless mythic. So the count is at 2 if I'm not mistaken so far. Now maybe I'm missing something, like I said, I don't know Modern very well at all. This could go in some stupid Rakdos death deck, I don't frickin' know or care. But to me on the surface, this looks like absolute garbage. And as you know, Wizards had some unhealthy obsession with every single set containing one god-awful red mythic, so here it is. Here's your Comet Storm, everybody. So that's it for now. Any spoilers that come out later today, I'll just cover them tomorrow. Thanks, people who forgot what day it is or live in other time zones. So what do you guys think of them creating cards that they think are good, brand new cards that they're just crossing their fingers like, oh, I hope people will play this, and they think that'll carry it at $10 a pack? I don't. I think this set will be one of the worst financial disasters they've ever printed, and I remember Eternal Masters, which was good until they sent the second wave. Iconic, though. I think this is going to be Iconic 2.0. At the very least, it runs a heavy risk of doing so, but they might throw in some, antique cards that people were like, whoa, and it's an automatic for Modern. But, I mean, how many of that would it take to carry a 254 card set? A lot, especially without any kind of lands that anybody gives a crap about. I have a feeling they're going to take an older land cycle and throw it forwards, but I can't name a single land that would benefit being in Modern more than the 2 that people already play. And plus, even cards like Reflecting Pool that are legal right now, they went up in price quite a bit. I still can't name anything a whole lot better than that. I mean, if you got like the Trampoline lands, I played them in one deck. I don't know. I mean, there's some pretty wacky stuff legal already, but I don't get into a whole lot of stuff older than Modern anyway. So yeah, I would not pre-order this until we get a full grasp on what it looks like. I mean, I'll do the EV calculation as early as I possibly can, basically when all the cards are out, and hopefully you can make a decision from there. But I have a feeling this is not going to be the insanely selling set that they think it is. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.